Anyone ever say to you, you're just buying that watch because it's popular, or you're just one of the minions? Statements like these can misguide a collector, especially a new collector. On this episode of Adventures with Time, I'm going to go over some of these assertions with an aim towards helping the new collector, but I'm sure some experienced collectors could use some reminders. Welcome back to another episode of Adventures with Time. I'm your host, Bob, and on this channel, I chronicle my activities as a new watch collector, both the good and the bad. Now, I've been collecting watches for about 3 years now. I guess I still consider myself a new collector. My hopes in that sharing with you my experiences in watch collecting, both you and I can learn new things about this hobby. Anyway, during my time as a watch collector, and mostly because I share my activities with you on this YouTube channel, I've received a lot of feedback on the watches that I've purchased. Mostly very good and helpful, but occasionally there is someone who makes a comment which is not very constructive, especially to someone who's a new collector. There have been a couple of comments that suggest that I bought a specific watch only because I'm following the crowd on a popular watch, or that I'm listening to some specific guru. Case in point is the purchase I made years ago of my Seagull 1963, or even my Sin 104, which I talked about in my most recent video. Did I buy these because they were popular or was listening to someone? No. I bought these because they're nice watches and I really like them. People who make statements like this are mistaking correlation with causation. That is, I bought the watch because it's a nice watch, and that's why other people have bought the watch. That's correlation. I'm not buying the watch because it's popular. That's causation. But the thing to remember here for any collector is don't buy a watch because it's popular. Buy a watch because it's something you like, that you would enjoy having. And a lot of watch collectors and YouTube content creators will also advise, buy the watch for yourself, not for anyone else. But let me be very specific here as to how you should not be influenced by the popularity of a watch. And I'll use this table here to illustrate the 4 different scenarios. That is, whether a watch is popular or not popular, versus whether you want to buy it or you don't care to buy it. In the top left box is the case I pointed out at the opening of this video. That is, there's a popular watch and you want to buy it because you like it, not because it's popular. Don't think that you're just following the crowd. It's a nice watch, and other people have recognized that too, and that's why they're buying it. Of course, don't confuse hype with popularity. Sometimes it's hard to distinguish the two, but the advice remains the same. Consider the watch for what it is and what it means to you, and don't be swayed by what others are doing or what others say about the watch. This does not mean that you should not consume all the content about a watch that you can. Find out about the watch, especially if you can't try it on in person. Lots of people review watches and will give you great points about a watch that you might not notice on your own. Somewhat the opposite situation is in the top right box, and that is, it's not a popular watch, but you want to buy it. Go ahead and buy it. This just shows that you have your own specific taste that may be different from others. That's not bad. That's good. You know what you like, and you're not going to be swayed just because it's not a popular watch. Similarly, there may be a popular watch, but for whatever reason, you just don't like it. You don't want it. Don't be swayed into buying that watch just because it's popular. I sort of fell into this trap with the G-Shock. When I started out collecting, a lot of people were buying G-Shocks and talking about how they loved them. I originally never thought about buying one, but seeing so much input, I made the mistake of buying a G-Shock, and I regretted it, and eventually ended up selling the watch. It just wasn't for me. Hopefully, I won't make that mistake in the future. The last scenario is quite obvious. you don't want to buy the watch, and it's not a popular watch. There's no reason to discuss this anymore. Other comments that I've received, which could confuse collectors if they're not confident in what they're buying or knowledgeable about what they're buying, are things like, "You're just a snob," or "What you're saying is wrong," even though it's an opinion. I'll give an example. If you watched my playlist of buying my first mid-tier luxury watch, you might have seen the first episode there, where I actually try to define what I mean by mid-tier. I created these bandings of watches based solely on price levels, only as a way to conveniently create cohorts of watches. I've received comments that that's being a snob, that there's no such thing as entry-level luxury. Comments like that could be hurtful to a new collector. It didn't bother me. I merely pointed out to the viewer that that was my arbitrary way of dividing watches into price bands. But new collectors could take a comment like that very badly. It might dissuade them from buying a certain watch that they're really interested in, or turn them off to the hobby completely. That's not very helpful. So my advice to you is twofold. Don't make those comments. And if those comments are made to you, recognize that they're coming from someone who's just expressing their opinion. I'm sure there's some ancient Hindu or Taoist saying that would guide one into following your own path in watch collecting. But that does not mean that you shouldn't gather all the input you can. Listen to others about the facts and their opinion on the watch, and then draw your own conclusions. And as I always say, try the watch on in person if you can. And when that's not possible, try to gather as much information from others as you can. But take all of the subjective information with a grain of salt. I hope this provides some encouragement to the new collectors, not to be swayed by what others think. And if you like this kind of content on watches, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel and ring that bell icon so you're alerted to whenever I post my next video. And here are a couple of other videos on watch collecting philosophies and strategies that you may like. Until my next video, thanks for watching.